Believe it or not, it was actually pouring rain just a while ago. It stopped now, but yeah, I guess that's a good thing, just because it's been so dry. Kind of funny, because usually it rains forever here. People complain no sunlight. It's the complete opposite now. And what's going on today? It's kind of interesting reading this one where there's a community claiming they're being, I guess, terrorized by a drone, so to speak. This one says, Village of Clive having regular drone problem. Are there high-flying privacy issues in the village of Clive? Councillors discussed the reoccurring problem of privacy complaints against drones inside the village at their regular meeting July 19th. Assistant Chief Administrative Officer Abby Notlin presented a regular report of CAO Carla Kenny, who was away, which included a report about the village getting lots of contact from the public regarding drones, specifically complaints about the remote-controlled flying objects apparently observing people. So it sounds like one of those common scenarios of people, I guess, seeing something which may be a drone or they think it is, and they automatically assume they're being spied upon. They do mention that in terms of the drone regulations, it's a federal issue, so they can't exactly just make something say, oh, make it all illegal to fly and so forth. But in reading this too, with this quote, it makes me think it's probably more odds that this is just someone filming for fun and so forth. But read, I guess, the different mentality of when people see a drone. Now, this one here says, Notlin stated some nighttime security camera footage was available of at least one of the drones in question, and it seemed as if a vehicle was slowly following the airborne unit, describing it as suspicious. So for myself in reading that, my first thought would be, okay, car is slowly moving forward with the drone. Maybe they're making a short film or something like that for fun. Whereas in this case, again, with the different, I guess, mindset is, oh no, they must be up to something no good, spying around neighborhoods and all that. Ultimately, you don't have all the facts, but isn't there more odds that that's probably the case, considering, again, with all the stuff that they're saying is happening here? Man, it just reminds me again, usually when people see like a drone up in the air, they automatically assume it's like a super telephoto lens or something like that, or for some reason, they're that interesting to capture, when in reality, most people are just capturing something else and they just happen to be in the background, so to speak. In general, I think all that hysteria is just a result of people being ignorant about the topic, not wanting to do their own research in any single way. They just read like a headline or whatever and they run with it. Which actually got me thinking too, because for some reason, I guess this meme or something like that has been spreading around, I guess online, where they're encouraging people in a sense to not think for themselves. Don't put the facts together yourself, just blindly, I guess, trust people. I was like, what? So I was trying to find the source of this, and I think it was basically from, like, say, sites or whatever, where people anonymously vent out, I guess, certain frustrations or thoughts that they have currently about life and so forth. But read this one here. This person here says, one of the most dangerous ideas that has come about in the last 3 years is that all points of view are equally valid, and that average citizen, you, are just as equipped to judge which have merit as anyone else. Hear all sides and judge for yourself. No, I do not condone the death of expertise, and neither should you. I'm an expert in very, very few things, but in those areas, my expertise is hard-earned through study, work, experience, and aptitude. None of it comes from attending Google University. But unless you are an expert in exactly the same areas, your opinion is not just as valid as mine. It's not. Now, as to why this person wrote it, I think it's just due to all that argument and dispute where no one seems to be agreeing overall as a whole in terms of things like, I don't know, viruses and all that, what's going on, best way to deal with it. And it says here, and my opinion is not as valid as experts in other fields. That is why they are the experts. So if our leading epidemiologists largely agree that A is correct, and a couple of discredited doctors make a video that says B is correct, our response should not be, I'll listen to both sides and decide which makes sense to me. And I guess the person is debating with somebody here, because it says here, confirmation bias exists and only fools think they are free of it. To paraphrase, Asimov, your ignorance is not the same as their experience. Genuinely smart people look for answers from people who are smarter than themselves. Only ignorant people believe their guess is as good as anyone else's. To me, this sounds really hypocritical, because I know the topic here, he's talking about virus specifically, but I'm just thinking about any topic in general, especially like the previous one with the drones and stuff, to tell people, oh, they shouldn't look at all the facts, come to a conclusion and so forth, just, let's just say, blindly trust one source of information or a group of people with a certain information. That's weird, isn't it? I mean, experts, in my opinion, should say, they should theoretically have a lot of knowledge in the field. So as a result, they should be able to explain everything to you in a scientific way. For example, if you say lighting a match in this, I don't know, oil or whatever is going to create fire and so forth, then that should be able to be replicated 100% of the time. If someone says, no, it's an illusion and so forth, then they should be able to, I don't know, prove that's not the case, right? And as an expert, you should say, give me anything you have, any kind of doubts, I'll prove to you wrong. But as soon as anyone, I don't care what the topic is, if they say, quiet, I'm the expert, I don't need to show you any type of proof, that would make me think, hey, what's wrong? Isn't that super dangerous for people to just blindly say, okay, well, I guess I don't have technically as much experience as this person, so I just have to blindly believe in it, even if they see something's wrong? Because just as an example, they often say, learn from history or you're doomed to repeat it, right? For myself, I can't believe this is actually true, but apparently it was. Did anyone actually live during this era? Most people here would say cigarettes are bad for you, correct? It's not recommended. They can give you lung cancer, etc., etc. But apparently in the past, it was actually being recommended by doctors and stuff like that. I mean, is this real? I'm just reading it here, like just from all the archive and information from places like the internet. Like this one here says, when cigarette companies use doctors to push smoking. Before studies showed that cigarettes cause cancer, tobacco companies recruited the medical community for their ads. What cigarettes do doctors says causes less throat irritation? In the 1930s and 40s, tobacco companies would happily tell you it was theirs. Doctors hadn't yet discovered a clear link between smoking and lung cancer, and a majority of them actually smoked cigarettes. So in cigarette ads, tobacco companies use doctors' authority to make their claims about their cigarettes seem more legitimate. I mean, this is my reaction here. It says, to the modern day reader, the pitching of cigarettes as healthy, even to youth and pregnant moms, and the use of doctors' endorsements may appear horrifying. Yet before 1950, there wasn't good evidence showing that cigarette smoking was bad for you. And try to imagine this, if this was during the time during the internet where people were posting experiences and so forth, but then people, like this guy here, was essentially telling people to, hey, shut up, you're not the expert. It says, people started to get worried in the 40s because lung cancer was spiking. The lung cancer death rate was going through the roof, said Martha Gardner, a history and social sciences professor at Massachusetts College of Pharmacy and Health Sciences. People noticed that and were worried about it, but that didn't mean they knew it was cigarettes. Yes, cigarettes did cause coughing and throat irritation, but companies used this to their advantage to promote their product as better than the competition. It wasn't all cigarettes that gave you problems, it was just those other ones. Again, it's just so crazy to think about, unless again someone wants to tell me this is like fake news or something like that. It says, unsurprisingly, many doctors responded positively to this biased, leading questions, and Lucky Strike ads used their answers to imply that their cigarettes must be medically better for your throat. In 1937, the Philip Morris Company took that one step further with a Saturday Evening Post ad claiming doctors had conducted a study showing, quote, when smokers changed to Philip Morris, every case of irritation cleared completely and definitely improved. What it didn't mention was that Philip Morris had sponsored those doctors. Doesn't that sound ludicrous if you think about it? Imagine that. If there was like an internet back then where people were posting online about their experiences, where maybe at first they're like, hey, it's really cool to smoke this stuff and all that. And then they're saying, hey, I've been coughing more. What's going on? I'm having a harder time breathing. And then they say, oh, maybe it's these cigarettes. But then this guy says, no, I'm a doctor. I recommend it. I do it. Look, I'm still living. I'm smoking and so forth. So you be quiet. I'm the expert. The only rational thing to do is to actually listen to all the facts and all that. It's just so mind-boggling. Are these ads for real? Like 20,679 physicians says Luckies are less irritating. It's toasted. Or other ones. It's almost like what you learn in school in terms of peer pressure. Everyone's doing it. Man, I don't care what the topic is. Like, let's just use the example on when you would want to trust, like, say, the quote doctors versus the non-doctors. I mean, it all depends on the situation because the context matters. If there's some crazy guy or whatever saying, hey, my $50 bracelet can give you superpowers, and then for some reason you have all these people going, yeah, I wore this and all of a sudden I felt stronger. Like, it's complete, you know what, it's not even real, but then you have like a real scientist saying, okay, let me conduct real controlled experiments to see if this is true or not. I mean, you have to have the balance there, like same thing. if that guy says what he has gives people superhuman powers or whatever, then it should be consistent, right? Or that other example I mentioned before in the past where the guy that bends spoons, he actually fooled scientists and so forth to believe he had like psychic powers. They actually like in some way certified it like in certain places, but then it took a bunch of magicians to show you it's all trickery. And despite what they showed you, there's still a lot of people who believe, no, you guys are quote magicians, you're not quote scientists. The scientist said that guy's real, he has psychic powers. Like there again, the only rational thing to do again is to put all the facts together and make a judgment there. Even that phrase of genuinely smart people look for answers from people who are smarter than themselves. I mean, I get what the person's trying to say in terms of looking for the sources where people have done years of research and all that, but at the same time, to think that is, I guess, the only way to go in terms of trying to find out what's going on is completely ignorant. I mean, I could use an example here where a bad teacher would say, hey, I'm the teacher, you're the student. You never challenge me ever. I am always right. Yet some of the great teachers in the world are the ones that go, hey, these students actually teach me in life as well for things that I never knew. I mean, in my opinion, a smart person would actually look at all angles, open to the fact that maybe they don't know everything in life, maybe they're wrong about certain things, and they're open to have this automatic, I guess, bias in terms of saying, oh, 100% this person must be wrong because, I don't know, they're not the same thing as this person, even though they may have the proof. You have to be open-minded and quote smart to be able to put the facts together and then say, okay, let's see who is right and who is wrong, as opposed to just blindly saying, oh, automatically this person has to be right without actually doing, I guess you could say, the tests and all that. In my opinion, if more people actually research about a topic, not judge things based on headlines and all that, then there wouldn't be things like this hysteria and stuff with things like tech and drones as an example. It doesn't matter what the topic is. See you guys later.